Picture this. It's the third night of the heat wave. The air won't move, and the walls feel warm to the touch. Then the power dies. The air conditioner goes silent. The ceiling fan slows and stops. The light on the thermostat blinks out. At first, it's just annoying. You open a window. Nothing comes in but more hot air. An hour later, it's hotter inside than out. You check your phone. The outage map won't even load. You're not just uncomfortable. You're sealed inside a brick box that's been soaking up sun all day, and now that box is slowly cooking everyone in it. Every year, heat quietly kills more people than hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes, and most of them die indoors, in their own homes, with the windows shut. In the 1995 Chicago heat wave, more than 700 died in a matter of days, most of them elderly and alone. In the 2021 heat dome out west, hundreds more went the same way. No air conditioning, waiting for help that came too late. Most people think the goal is to cool the whole house. You can't. With no power, you don't have the energy to fight an entire building, so you stop trying. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn one single room into a survivable shelter when the grid goes down in the heat. Item number 3 is sitting in your freezer right now, and item number 5 decides whether you stay clear-headed enough to call for help, or whether someone finds you too late. Before we lock down the room, understand what's actually trying to kill you. With the power out in a heat wave, you're not fighting a thermostat. You're fighting two silent killers: heat stroke and dehydration. And the biggest mistake people make is the one that feels most natural. They throw every window wide open in the middle of the day. Think about it. The air outside is hotter than the air inside. You're not letting a breeze in, you're inviting the furnace in. Meanwhile, the sun pours through the glass, the roof bakes, and the attic turns into a heat lamp aimed straight down at you. So here's the rule everything depends on. In the daytime, you don't open up. You seal off. And you pick one room to defend. Choose the lowest floor you can. Heat rises, so a basement or a shaded ground floor room is gold. Skip the top floor and any room with a big west-facing window. Shut the door and keep it shut. You're building a bunker against the heat. Let's stock it. Item number 1 is obvious, but almost everyone does it wrong. You have to block the sun. And I don't mean closing the curtains. Here's the problem with curtains. A dark curtain still lets sunlight through the glass, soaks up the energy, heats up, and radiates it right back into the room. You've trapped the oven on the inside of the window instead of stopping it at the glass. What you want is something reflective. A Mylar emergency blanket, foam board wrapped in foil, even aluminum foil taped over the panes, shiny side out. The goal is to bounce the sunlight back before it ever turns into heat. And on the outside of the glass, it works even better. Light, shiny, reflective. That's the difference between a room you can survive and one that climbs into the triple digits while you sit in it. Item number 2 solves a problem people always underestimate: water, and how fast your body burns through it. In serious heat, you can lose a liter of sweat an hour and never see it, because it evaporates the instant it hits your skin. So you store water before the outage, not during it. Fill jugs, fill the bathtub, and if you're on a well, the pump runs on electricity. When the power dies, so does your tap. But here's the part people miss. Sweat that hard, and you're not just losing water, you're losing salt. Chug nothing but plain water for hours, and you can flush your system out and make yourself sick. So pair your water with electrolytes, a pinch of salt, an electrolyte packet, a sports drink. And skip what works against you. Alcohol, coffee, and energy drinks all pull water out of you. That brings us to item number 3, the one already in your freezer. No power, no air conditioning. So how do you cool the air? You build a simple ice cooler. Take a battery-powered fan and a few bottles you've frozen solid, or a shallow pan of ice. Set them right in front of the fan and let it blow across them. The air picks up the cold and carries it to you. It won't make winter, but it can take the edge off. And as the ice melts, you've got cold water to drink. But here's a critical warning people get dangerously wrong. A fan does not cool air, it only moves it. Once the air climbs past about 95 degrees, hotter than your own skin, a fan in dry heat can speed up dehydration while doing nothing to cool you. On its own, in extreme heat, it gives you a false sense of safety. Always pair it with ice or with wetting your skin. Sometimes the room isn't the problem, your body is. You can do everything right and still feel your heart pounding and your thoughts going foggy. Item number 4 costs almost nothing. Wet cloths on the pulse points of your body. Your blood runs close to the surface at your neck, wrists, armpits, and groin. Press a cold, wet cloth or a frozen bottle there, and you're cooling the blood before it loops back through you. Then, the old desert trick. Soak a sheet or your shirt and keep it damp. As the water evaporates, it pulls heat straight off you. Get low, onto the floor where the air is coolest, with that wet sheet over you and the fan moving across it. Don't wait until you feel terrible. By the time the heat really has you, your judgment is already slipping. Cool early, cool often, and don't try to tough it out. Finally, item number 5, the one almost nobody packs. Here's the cruel part about heat stroke. Before it stops your heart, it scrambles your brain. The first thing to go is your judgment. You get confused, you stop making sense, and you don't even notice. The moment you most need help is the moment you're least able to ask for it. So item number 5 is a fully charged power bank, used before you're in trouble. It keeps your phone alive when the grid is dead. It's your line to emergency services. It's how you find the nearest cooling center, a library, a mall, a shelter with power that cities open in heat emergencies. And if you live alone, set up a check-in, someone who texts every couple of hours, so that if you go quiet, somebody comes. That battery has one job, making sure that when things go wrong, you can still reach the outside world before the heat takes your ability to think. Look, nobody plans to spend a summer night fighting for cool air in their own living room. But heat waves are getting longer, the grid is getting weaker, and the two fail at the same moment. Do everything right, and the worst case is a sweaty, sleepless night. Skip it all, and you risk becoming a number nobody thinks applies to them. Until it does. A reflective barrier on the windows, water and salt, a fan and a few frozen bottles, a wet cloth on the neck, a charged battery to call for help. None of it costs much, but together they hand you the one thing you can't make more of when the heat closes in: time. If this helped, a quick like goes a long way toward getting it in front of more people before the next heat wave. And if you want the 3 everyday habits that quietly turn your home into a heat trap during a blackout, that video's right here.